Hey guys, tonight we are going to be talking about PTSD and caregiving. And I just feel like I talk to a lot of people that are going through this right now, and actually I'm going through it right now. When we go through traumatic events, it could be a car accident, it could be being in the military, it could be just witnessing something horrific that can bring on PTSD symptoms. And it's hard to work through those, right? And so I am just going to talk about that a little bit. I actually got started with Young Living because I had a child that took her own life, and her sibling, that was one of her siblings that was left, really struggled with PTSD after the loss of her sister. And so, everybody reacts differently to these things, and this child just really had a hard time. And so my choice was not to medicate her, and my choice was to try to help her work through those emotions. But it was hard because she was a teenager at the time too, a younger teen, and just trying to figure out how to navigate all those feelings and how to help her work through them. And I was invited to a class for Young Living at someone's house. And, they were talking about immune health and all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't super interesting to me, actually. That wasn't the top priority in my life. We were a very natural family anyway, so we really didn't struggle with that too much. But then at the end of the class, the teacher at the time, one of my uplines, talked about how the oils can help reach the limbic region of the brain and help with emotions and help process grief and trauma and things like that. And so that perked my interest. I kind of talked to her afterwards and said, listen, if you had an option as to what oil to give this child, she said the oil of joy. And so I got that oil. I was like, I don't know anything about oils. I had had a really bad experience years prior with really cheap oils that I bought at a health food store. Really bad experience. I said I'd never use oils again. I went to that class kind of unwillingly, but went to just appease a friend. But I thought, if this could be one thing that would help my child naturally, I'll give it a try. And so I started using that oil of joy on her pillowcase, and I didn't tell her what I was doing. I didn't tell anybody in the house, actually, because I really didn't know if it would work. I had no experience outside of the bad experience with cheaper oils prior to that. And all of a sudden, her siblings were like, why is she happy? Why is she smiling? Why is she nice to us today? Because her two switches at the time were either completely shut off and shut down, or and not talking, or angry. And so just the sound of water would make her angry. Any kind of tense discussion or situation made her angry or completely shut down. It was pretty intense at the time. And I myself had, my daughter took her own life, and so there was triggers for myself as well, that if I saw a certain item that was involved in my daughter's death, I would have flashbacks, I would have nightmares, and so there would just be this gut stress reaction every time I saw certain things as well. So I knew my kids were going through that. And this oil of joy just seemed to help calm her, help just put a smile on her face. And so I was like, wow, this is kind of weird. I don't know anything about this, but I got a desk reference. This is one of my big ones. We were encouraged to buy them at the time. They have, this company only produces material for Young Living because Young Living is different than any other oils. We have our own farms. We process our oils differently. We distill them differently. Every oil has a different constituency, so it is just, we have a seed to seal guarantee that no other company has, and you can visit all of our farms, and so that was very different too. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll buy the desk reference and I'll just kind of see what these oils do, right? So that's my backstory. And helped us through a lot of stuff. Now my daughter, that was like that Oil of Joy helped. Her two oils were, I thought I had the Oil of Joy here, but I must not have brought it. The Oil of Joy and Stress Away were her two favorite oils. Stress Away doesn't do too much for me. It's like smells good. I wear it as perfume. People always ask me about oils when I wear it because it's like so appealing. And people will literally say, I was at a post office one day and I had it on just as perfume, and the person that was helping me behind the counter was like, oh my gosh, ever since you walked up, all of a sudden I feel so calm. Like, I can't figure out what that is, but I just was having a bad day. I was super stressed out, and as soon as you walked up, I just immediately felt calm. That's really weird. And I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of wearing Stress Away. And so shared that with her. And so my daughter, for her, the two oils that really helped her through a lot of her traumatic events, triggers, things like that, were Joy and Stress Away. She used to put those two together in the diffuser every day. She used to put them on, apply topically every day, preventatively, so she wouldn't wait until, say, like an episode happened. She would apply them topically several times a day, or especially in the morning when she would wake up and before she would go to work, and then when she would get home, and then she would diffuse it at night. Those were her two bombs that just like really helped her through a lot of situations. It really helped calm her brain, her mind, to where she was able to work through things, and see things a little bit differently because you're not in this hyper state of anxiousness, right? And when we're not in that hyper state, we can kind of look at things a little bit differently. So those were her two things. Me personally, Stress Away and Joy smell good to me, but they weren't my two go-tos. I had read a lot about trauma, and the number one oil for trauma and working through hard emotions and working through hard situations is frankincense. And so my go-to from the beginning was always frankincense. And the minute I would feel some of those hyped up feelings, when I would see certain items that were related to my daughter's passing, or I was widowed when I was 28. I had 3 kids under 5, and then I was widowed again, 10 years later, after I had remarried and had 2 more kids. I was widowed again, and so both were very different, but very traumatic events. And so they all carried, I had all this baggage from each one. And so frankincense, every time I would have some kind of memory or thing that would be uncomfortable, I would apply frankincense to the back of my brainstem, and I would apply it to my temples, and then I would just smell it, right? And so frankincense was the go-to balm for me. But I also had just moments that were really difficult to, there was times where, just for a short couple of years, there was times where things just seemed unmanageable when it came to, I was just carrying so much stress, right? I was a single parent. I had 5 kids under the age of 10, and it was just a lot. So the kids were that close together. When all this happened, they were older than that, but it just, there was a lot, especially when the kids got to be teenagers. Dealing with that on my own as a single mom was really difficult. And so I used to use the tapping method. I had gone to a Young Living conference, actually, that was actually given by a man that was in the military previously and had suffered from PTSD, and he was going through how Young Living had changed his life and how it had really helped him work through. And he was traveling the country helping service members really work through hard emotions, we're going to say. And so one of the things that he talked about was this tapping. And I had never seen it before. He kind of demonstrated it for us. And it would just be like, I'm going to, share a link for it. And I was just like, you're crazy. That stuff is weird. I'm sitting there during the conference. I'm like, this is so weird. Like, I believe that the oils help us because they're plants. They have properties. You can smell lavender and it immediately relaxes you and helps you go to sleep. And you can smell a lemon, real lemon, and it refreshes you and gives you energy just like our lemon oil does. And the frankincense was working for me. Every time I put it on, I would just immediately relax. I would calm down. I would be able to see things in a different light because I was not in this hyper intense state. But I just didn't believe this tapping thing. I'm like, I don't know what this guy is doing. He's really weird. But after the conference, I was driving one day and I was coming home from a homeschool conference because I homeschooled my kids too to add to all the stress, add my, crazy life a little bit more crazy. But that was my choice. And so I had kids in the car. I was coming home from a weekend long homeschool conference and I just had this overwhelming feeling. It was like a panic attack that was overwhelming. I immediately put Stress Away on and I just frankincense on my temples, behind my ears, on my wrist. And I was sitting there smelling it in my hands. And then all of a sudden I just thought, I'll just try this tapping thing that this guy is doing because I couldn't drive. I had to pull off the side of the road. I had the kids in the car. They're all like, what's going on? I'm like, I just need a moment. Just give me a minute. So I started to do the tapping, the EFT tapping, and it just like really, along with the oils, just completely calmed my body down physically so that I could keep driving and get home and take a nice relaxing bath and reset my mind, right? And so I just find that really works. And so fast forward to today, my mom, who is 94, has been like my hero, for years. She just taught me so much. She brought me up in a very healthy home. We didn't use any chemicals. She didn't give us aspirin or Tylenol or anything. She always, gave us herbs and poultices and natural ways. She used the most natural cleaning product that she could at the time. It was mail order. Her friends used to make fun of her because she gave us vitamins instead of, if we had a headache, she would never give us Motrin or Tylenol. She told us to drink water and to go lay down. She just was really natural for her time and got made fun of for that for years, but she is 94 and up until this date, she has only been in the hospital with this current hospitalization twice now in the last 55 years since I was born. So her first... All right, sorry guys, my phone cut me off, so I'm going to continue. This is part 2 because I don't want to have to do that all over again. So yeah, my mom was in the hospital twice in the last 55 years. The first time was when she just had some issues, and that was about 5-6 years ago, and she needed someone to stay with her during the hospital stay because she was so scared. The last time she had been in the hospital was when I was born at that time, 50 years, and she there was candy stripers then. There was, the hospital situation was so different for her, and so she was very scared to be alone. She didn't know what was, just didn't understand all the technology that had changed. And so during that stay, again, she had always lived very healthy. She was still living on her own, taking care of herself. She did everything naturally, cleaned naturally, ate naturally, and really used only natural products and took lots of vitamins, no prescriptions, didn't believe in them. Again, told us, didn't let us have any of that when we were young. So during that stay 5 years ago, it was just very stressful for me. I had to leave my kids, my family. I was homeschooling still at the time. And so just lots of different changes, and the product that helped me the most was Cortistop, because Cortistop really helps lower your cortisol levels. It just really helps your body be more balanced. It has fleabane in it, clary sage, fennel, frankincense, and peppermint, and it really helps you deal with stress better. And so this was a game changer for me. I took it twice in the morning and twice at night. You go on for 8 weeks and off for 2 weeks. This literally, I don't take it all the time. I only take it for very intense situations where my system can't handle what's going on. It just, as the older I've gotten with all the trauma that we've been through, my nervous system seems to be able to handle really, really intense stress less. And just meaning that I just feel internally anxious, shaky, like I just feel icky inside. Like I can tell that my nervous system is not handling things well. And so this really just helps calm your nervous system down. It helps reduce your cortisol levels so that you can think more clearly, you can make better decisions, you can focus more, you can relax more. It is just a game changer. And so that is what I used 5 years ago. In those 5 years, my mom has still been on her own, lived in her own house, was driving up until last year, I think. And just still spending Sundays writing letters to people and cooking her own meals, really very independent. Starting to lose her memory a little bit, but not, not excessive. And for being 94, not bad at all, right? Because she really took care of, she did a lot of crossword puzzles, she did a lot of brain exercises, she took a lot of supplements that were good for her brain. She tried to eat foods that were good for her brain. And so, and at the end of April, she was cooking and had stacked a bunch of books on top of a chair. And when she turned around to finish cooking, she had leaned on that stack of books instead of the table, which is stable. And this stack of books was not. And so the stack of books flew out from underneath her and she fell. And so she broke her hip in that fall. She actually did excellent through the surgery. The doctors were like, gosh, she's 94. Should we do the surgery or not? But, just laying in bed, without the surgery, she would not make it. And then with the surgery, she could, 50-50 chance of not making it. And so she, we decided all together to do the surgery. She came through it with flying colors, but just being in bed for 12 days at her age just really slowed her down. And having arthritic knees, which she's had for years, just really made it difficult for her to recover the way we thought she could. And so again, when you have surgery, when you're elderly, it really takes a toll on your memory, on your brain. It really, just the atrophy of just laying in bed and not getting up and not moving, that affects your brain and your memory. And so we brought her home because that's where she wanted to be. And now it came down to care and how were we going to take care of her as a family. And so I know a lot of people are going through this right now. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about that, because I am naturally probably a caregiver. It's not hard for me. I love to help people. That's why I do what I do with Young Living, because I love to help people feel better. I love to help people know that there's a different way of gaining health and to feel good without a lot of man-made help. And so I've just always been very passionate about that, even when I was younger. And so we just had to start taking care of my mom at home. And currently it is between me and one other person, so we're taking turns, and I'm down there for a couple days a week, and that other person is there taking care of her a couple days a week. And I have to tell you that you can get PTSD just from caring for someone. The amount of stress that it causes to this is just different care than I've ever experienced before. So she used to be very mobile, she used to be very alert, very cognitively great, and now things are just declining, of course. Her body is, 94, and so it's just very different. The surgery took a toll on her memory, and so that is just waning, and it just she's exhibiting symptoms of someone whose memory is waning, and it's called sundowning, and it's very, very challenging to take care of someone that's going through that, and very challenging to take care of someone who can't get up and move on their own. It's mostly more the challenge of the losing the memory and not having them be like they used to, I guess. And I'm okay with that because I know life changes. I know our bodies change. I know as you get closer to the end, you change. But I would say that the PTSD is really from the lack of sleep that 24-hour care givers have, the lack of like I have to leave my home several days a week, and so I feel like I'm living two lives right now. I have a life down there when I'm caring for her, and then I come back here and I have my life here, and so I'm like split in half. It's very unsettling mentally. It's very different than I've ever had to choose. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of stress and a lot of trauma, and I use a lot of things to deal with that, but this is very very challenging, I have to say. And I've talked to a lot of people in the last couple months that either just have gotten through dealing with the same thing or are in the midst of it as well. And I just really wanted to share some encouragement. I really talk about breathing, very specific deep breathing. I know when you're stressed, and people tend to not even know that they're in fight or flight. I just talked with one of my kids about this the other day. When I was 28 and lost my first husband, I had 3 kids under the age of 5. And so I had tons of pain in my body. I was 28 years old. It didn't really make sense. I was home with my kids. I was very lucky to be able to still stay home with them. But I was dealing with massive amounts of pain. Like, I couldn't stand up after sleeping at night without having to sit on the edge of the bed and just kind of gear up for the pain of just the standing. I had a lot of joint pain. It just kind of came on after my husband had passed away. And I had gone through, medical doctors, and none of them could find anything wrong with me. One finally told me that I was making it up just to get attention. I was like, are you crazy? I don't have time for this. And I finally found a naturopath that within the first 5 minutes of the visit said, I know what's wrong with you. You're in a fight or flight mode. You're very stressed. And I was like, no, I really don't feel stressed. I just feel like I'm moving on with life and raising my kids and just doing what needs to be done. And she said, no, I can tell that you're in fight or flight because you're breathing so shallow, and you really need to deep breathe. And I was like, you're a crazy lady. I just, I do things naturally, but I don't believe what you're saying, that all this pain in my body, physical, deep pain, was just from not breathing correctly. But that's what she insisted. She kind of taught me how to breathe through my diaphragm and how to deep breathe, and how different it was. It was actually difficult to do because I just didn't realize how shallow of breathing I was doing. And so once I started doing that, just deep breathing, multiple times a day as an exercise, all the physical pain in my body went away. it was quite amazing that just doing that deep breathing, because I didn't feel stressed at the time, but obviously my body was screaming at me like pain is a good thing. Like I teach people that all the time, like pain's a good thing because it's a warning signal that something is not right, something's out of balance, something's wrong. You just need to, it tells you that something needs to change, right? And so after doing that deep breathing, all the symptoms I had went away, all of them. And so I have found that I need to go back to that. I find myself like deep breathing now because there's so much going on. I'm running a business. I'm taking care of my mom. I still have a family at home. I've got 2 daughters that are ready to give birth, and so I'm excited for that. I got 2 grandbabies coming on the way. There's lots of things going on. I feel like I'm running in every direction every single day. And so what I've done is done deep breathing and just using certain oils to just calm my system down. And I use them preventatively, so I don't wait until I'm in an anxious spot. I use them daily. I put them on just kind of like perfume. I put them on my wrists. I put a little bit over my heart. I put a little bit under my, behind my ears, and a little bit on my brainstem, just like a drop each. And so again, my favorite is frankincense because that's just my go-to. You might have a different go-to, like whatever oils that you have tried. We have kits that are specifically, we have a feelings kit. It's got a protocol that comes with it. It actually helps you work through a lot of difficult situations that you've been through when you're holding on to difficult feelings that you can't let go. There's whenever we can't release anger or frustration, or any kind of emotion that we don't deal with, the science behind it, it actually just gets stored in our body. And so the feelings kit actually walks you through like dealing with things for your liver, for your digestive system, like different organs that it helps release undealt with emotions for. And so that's great. Again, my daughter used Stress Away. That was fantastic for her. Valor is great because it helps us walk through hard things. Like I love to use Valor if I have to talk to someone for the first time that I'm unsure of, if you have to go to an appointment for the first time, if you have a job interview. Valor is really great at just calming your whole body down. Now the kids version of Valor is one I use all the time for my own stress levels, and it's Kid Power. It's a kid one, it's pre-diluted, but it's in our kids line. I love it for anything difficult. I love how it smells just for perfume, but I love how it just works really well at just immediately calming your nervous system down. I like to put them in my hands, breathe in, especially when I'm, in between my mom's house, coming home, or even if I'm there, sometimes I just have to walk away and I go into another room and I just sit there and breathe the oils in. I do the deep breathing. I just try to relax my mind and my body. I try to take walks. I try to do things when I do come home. I try to do things that I enjoy instead of making sure that I get all the household things done. I'm just kind of setting some of those things aside right now because I just have to relax and I have to calm my system down. If you're on a tight crunch for a budget, orange is fantastic for relaxing, for calm. You can again put it behind your ears, on the back of your brainstem. I love to put it in the diffuser. It actually can help you sleep at night, but it's very, very relaxing, and this is like $11, guys. It's a great oil to use to calm the house down when you have kids that come home and are stressed out, or if your whole household is kind of chaotic. Been there, done that. Orange is very, very inexpensive to diffuse, to apply. You can put it in your water. It is great to put on kids, adults, any kind of situation. And then we have, like, surrender. Sometimes this kind of helps you just be in the mindset of accepting things that you can't change, because we're all going through things right now that we can't change. And so my mom's situation, I kind of have been using surrender just on my wrists, and just to kind of like change my mindset to help me. And I use the oils when I pray. If you don't pray, that's fine. If you do, that's great too. They're very effective. The frequency, all the oils have frequencies, and they actually, everything in life has frequencies, but they have frequency that actually goes up when you use them, when you pray. So these are just some great tools to help, because I've just been very surprised at how hard it is to take care of someone who's losing their memory and who is declining. Not really the physical part of care, it's really the lack of sleep, the intense pressure to, I have my own life and now I have to leave it to care for someone else. It's very difficult to go back and forth between those lives. It's very difficult to handle all that stress. And I just really want to encourage you to use your products to help yourself walk through that. Reach out to your higher power and really do some deep breathing exercises, and really just pray and ask, God to help you. He will always answer you when you ask him. And really just use your products preventatively. Like, I don't wait. Like, right now I know that I need this. I make sure that I have it on hand at all times. Actually, I didn't have a bottle when my mom first went into the hospital, and I put a bottle on rush before she even had her surgery. I had ordered a bottle and put it on a rush ship, because I knew that the next couple months were going to be up and down. I wasn't going to know what to do. I wasn't sure what direction we were all going and how this was going to end. And so I knew that I needed this to help me walk through that. So I just really reach out if you have any questions, if you have any, if you need someone to talk to. Just know that it's really difficult. It is. You can get PTSD just from caring for someone, because the lack of sleep, the amount of stress to care for someone, especially when they are doing things that they can't control, that you can't control. It's all new to you. Situations that are unclear as to how to navigate, that deal with other people, that deal with schedules that you're not used to scheduling, to put your life on hold for someone else. All those are really, really intense, emotional things. And we've got great natural tools, but we also can just deep breathe, to do things that you enjoy when you get the time, ask for help, do quiet activities that are soothing to you, diffuse at night to help your brain reset, stretch in the morning, exercise, gentle exercise. It could just be in a chair, doing gentle stretches. That is great, because our muscles, when we're under stress, we're tense, and our muscles seize up. And so just to like stretch and to relax our muscles with gentle stretching or intense exercise, whatever is your boat. Sometimes I just wake up, when I'm at my mom's, I just wake up and I just need to stretch for a minute, just to and I've never really had to do that before, but I just need to stretch, because I know my muscles are tense and my whole body's just tense. And so to take that minute to just stretch out and to move myself slowly, to get my bearings for the day. And when you need to take a break and you're mentally and physically exhausted, do whatever you can to get that 5 minutes alone or 10 minutes alone in your thought. Read good books. I love to read, and normally I read about stuff that helps me learn things, and I'm finding that I'm reading things that are more just like relaxing and enjoyable, kind of not fantasy necessarily, but true stories that are just more whimsical and not so intense learning, just to ease my brain but still keep it working. But just know that you're not alone, because there's a lot of people going through this right now. So choose your favorite oils, grab some quarter stop, do some breathing exercises. In my newsletter, I'm going to have some links for that. And the tapping works great. The EFT tapping really works really well. Talk to people. Keep your relationships going, even if it's by phone. Write letters. Communicate with others. Really keep your connections strong. Yeah. And I just hope that this blesses you. I hope you reach out if you have any questions, because life is hard right now. And there's just a lot going on for a lot of people. And community is the best thing that you can have. And really use the tools that you can to stay relaxed as much as possible. Keep connected. Keep your body moving. Deep breathe as often as possible, because if you really pay attention, you're probably in that fight or flight breathing episodes too. And really, our products have great ability to help people walk through those intense emotions that we can't always control. So I hope this blesses you today. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. I would love for you to like, subscribe, and to share our Redeemed Life. And I hope you have a great week.